We'll introduce to you about the program of why we went there, like and how exactly. So I'm very glad that you guys are here. This is privileged information for you, the select few who came by. We'll not share our slides. No, you're kidding. So it's good to you're here and learn more about the YSEALI, or the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative program. Okay, I'll hand it over to Jean.
Thanks, Francis. So, hi, good afternoon again. So, I'll be telling you first about YSEALI before we go into the actual slides of each fellow. So, the Young Southeast Asia Leaders Initiative is a U.S. government-funded program for young leaders in Southeast Asia, and we're really privileged to be, part of the Professional Fellows Program. The YSEALI, the YSEALI program, or the U.S. government believes that young people are really never too young to lead. So we're not waiting for the young leaders today to just, wait for their maturity in government offices or their NGOs or wherever they're with in their organization. So this capacitates us to see the best practices and experiences in the United States and share this with our home countries like we're doing now. So 65% of ASEAN citizens are below the age of 35. So YSEALI participants are from 18 to 35 years old, depending on the programs. And it aims to strengthen youth leadership, develop regional networking, and support community projects of these young leaders. We'll tell you more about that later. So as of now, there are 24,000 Filipino members in this network and 500 exchange alumni and project grantees for the program. And this is where we're part of. So for academic fellows, they're aged 18 to 25, and for the professional fellows, they're aged 26 to 35 years old. So who are students here? Show of hands. Okay, who are still studying here or within the 35 age bracket? Siyempre, lahat nagtaas ng kamay, no? Okay, so you can be part of this program as well, no? I'll provide the website later, but it's a really good experience as we'll share with you. So, what you can get out of the YSEALI programs include the US exchanges, regional exchanges like one-week workshops that are specialized. So we have CCAMPs, Urban Planning Smart Growth, we have the Mekong Delta River Protection, and project funding for the community projects of the young leaders. So you can like YSEALI on Facebook first, and YSEALI Unified page for the Philippine YSEALI Network. And you can sign up as well and ask your questions with YSEALI Philippines at state.gov. So please do join the network for all the young leaders here today. Okay, I'll be handing this over to Joey Noel. So, okay, so Joey will be presenting about disaster risk reduction, emergency management, and resilience. Okay, hello. Gising ka ba?
Yes.
Gising. Ay, what's not there? Yeah. Hindi siya PowerPoint. Okay. Sino dito who's among you is doing disaster or resilience related work? Sino sa inyo?
About
Okay. Walang into disaster resiliency? Wala talaga. Okay, so this is new information for you. And so I'd be happy to share with you what I've learned in Tallahassee. And I'm privileged to be accompanied by one of the people that I shadowed while I was in Tallahassee. She's the Chief Resilience Officer of Tallahassee. It's actually a new
position. They just created the office last year. But yeah, so she will tell you more about it later. So Ms. Abina Ochetayo is here. So so Jean has mentioned to you the fellowship, and so I actually invite you and ask you to like the Facebook page, because the fellowship usually, so we are with a professional fellows program, so that means we're already professionals or we're working in our field, and they also have the academic fellows. So take a look kung saan kayo, which you think will be appropriate for you. But we highly encourage you, especially those doing environmental planning, na just try applying, kasi who knows. We actually didn't tell each other that we're applying to the fellowship, and fortunately, all three of us were practically batchmates and classmates. So yeah, so instant friends. And yeah, so we were also former UP Plano officers. So that's why the first thing we thought about in terms of sharing what we've learned there is through UP Plano. So, yeah, so sino dito UP Plano members? Okay, dalawa. Yeah. Okay, me. Okay, so my presentation outline. So of course, I'll introduce myself, my experience in Tallahassee, and the lessons learned and best practices that I've learned in terms of resilience, and this, in particular, disasters and emergency management. And of course, my takeaways for the Philippine setting, kasi hindi naman lahat applicable, or basta na lang nakita natin babagay sa Pilipinas. So kung ano lang yung pwede. So, is it okay if I speak by... No? Okay. Whew, no sleep. Okay. So, I am Yowie. Slide. Yeah, so my full name is Joy Gonzales, so I'm fondly called Yowie. So I'm an environmental planner by profession. And I now consult with the city government of Cadiz, and actually soon with the city government of Dalisay in Negros Occidental. So before, I used to work for national agencies and non-profit organizations and international non-profit organizations, but this time I prefer to work with the LGUs, because it's a different type of what do you call this? Yeah, engagement and experience also when you go down at the local government and community level. So dun talaga matitest yung ano nyo, yung galing nyo. So yeah, so I've learned a lot so far. So before, as soon as, so bago kayo mag-apply, sa application form, in the application form for the professional fellowship, you will be asked about a case study or a community challenge. Because before going there, you have to think of your motivation, why you're going there. Ano ba yung gusto kong malaman? Ano-anong mga opisina yung gusto kong puntahan? Dahil itatanong sa inyo to during the interview. And so I had a case study. I wrote a paper on reinforcing local government partnership and building resilience through participatory planning and capacity building. So when I went to Tallahassee, I already know what I want to find out. And of course, the offices that I wanted to go to and the people I need to interview, so that it will also answer my fellowship objective, which is like basically with 5 weeks you can't really do much. So yun, so basically learning exposure talaga siya. So but in some cases they will ask you to participate in their activities. So medyo magtatrabaho ka, but wala namang pilitan, hindi naman sa pilitan. But it's also your opportunity para may pakita yung galing mo. So kasi professional ka na, so they will not treat you as a student or a visitor. So nandun din kayo para ibahagi yung experiences and of course your talents and skills. Okay, so my fellowship. Okay, so this is Tallahassee City. Before going, I actually, like for the longest time, I didn't know that Tallahassee is the capital of Florida. Yeah. Who else has heard of Tallahassee?
Usually Miami.
Except Abida, of course. Yeah, so we only hear about Miami, ano pa, Orlando, dahil Disneyland, Tampa Bay, dahil Backstreet Boys.
What?
Yeah, naalala ko talaga, the Backstreet Boys came from Tampa and Jacksonville, so that's my, but unfortunately no one came to Tallahassee. I can't stalk anyone, so I'm going there. So anyway, so that's Florida for me. It's like my initial, like, how do you call this, impression. And of course, before going to your placement, you have an option to tell ICMA. So ICMA is our implementer. So it stands for International City and County Managers Association. And they will ask you where you want to be placed. If you would like to be placed like in New York, but of course you have to justify why, or else hindi ka nila papayagan. But they would actually prefer to put you in their partner, local governments or organizations that could really take care of you and your needs and of course what you want to learn. So since I do disaster risk reduction and Florida is always visited by hurricanes, in fact they're now waiting for like a hurricane and yeah, we are here, a typhoon. So I thought that I want to be placed in one of the cities in Florida. So they placed me right smack in the capital, so which is like an opportune event actually, because that's actually where the state emergency management office is, and of course later on I will tell you more about it, why it was a good placement for me. Okay, so this is apologies for the small text, but you can actually search about it online. So I just want to show you the organization chart of a city in the US, because there might be similarities with our organization chart here in the Philippines, but in the US, so it's specifically in Tallahassee, so they have the mayor and then 4 commissioners, and they actually run or like decide, make decisions, strategies, and and basically oversee the city together with the city managers and the associate city managers. So they don't have, that's their council members actually. So they wala silang mga sanggunian, wala silang, ano pa ba? So wala din silang barangay doon. So they have neighborhoods. So yeah, and then each city manager and assistant city managers, of course, handle specific responsibilities. And for Tallahassee, okay, so yung naka-yellow, yeah. So Miss Cynthia Barber is the assistant city manager. That under her is where you can find the fire department, parks and recreation, the consolidated dispatch agency, and the police. Okay, so it's amazing how a woman leader could actually, a woman city manager could actually handle this, how do you call this, very response-oriented offices. Yeah, so yeah, that's something that they're very proud of. And so Chief Gaines of the fire department handles the, of course, fire resilience, emergency management, and facility security department. So, and then meron ding emergency managers, yeah, and those that focus in disasters, but they just liaise with each other. So, wala talaga silang disaster office doon, but they have emergency management office. But that's under the umbrella of public safety. Okay, so so this is the people that welcomed me. So they were very nice and accommodating. So, and they really made me feel important. And yeah, so it's really nice to meet them. And the city mayor really took his time to meet me. And he's actually running for governor right now. So he just won the primaries. So good luck in November. So lessons learned. So medyo bibilisan ko lang. So Cascades part. So I will show you some of, like, of course, those that really impressed on me the most in terms of the way they plan their city and the way they engage with each other. Sorry, medyo inuubo ako. Yeah, so, sorry ha, it's been brewing na kanina pa, so medyo. And so as you can see, this is Cascades Park. Pasensya na. Ito yung medyo kasi super intimate natin. Seryoso na. Yan. So as you can see, yeah, so it's actually a park. It looks like a river, but it's actually a $30 million 24-acre state-of-the-art stormwater management facility. So, next photo, please. So this facility is actually built to flood. So it can accommodate flood, and it answers two basic like problems that Tallahassee faces. So you have the flooding, and of course how they manage, because this site was a former brownfield. So do you know what a brownfield is? So a brownfield is a former industrial site. So it usually has factories built on it, and then they left and just left it there, and there were toxics and chemicals. So for the longest time, this place was just left abandoned, and of course, and so the city decided that why don't we convert this toxic wasteland into something else that actually the city can benefit from. So that's why they engineered and built and actually designed it in such an innovative manner that they disguised the stormwater management facility and turned it into a park. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, you can actually create a multi-purpose and well-engineered and well-designed facility that looks nice. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be like all our, as I've seen here in the Philippines, so we have a stormwater facility and it's just a floodgate and so on, like that. So what I have learned there in Tallahassee is that you can convert a brownfield, a site that wasn't used before, and it's not just placemaking that you're doing, but you're actually creating a new environment where people can come together and converge. So it's such a very beautiful initiative for the city. And the Cascades part, actually, next photo please, also houses this amphitheater. So this amphitheater is also designed to flood, so it can accommodate the water as it comes. And then they have culverts underwater, and we just pump the water. And yeah, if it stops raining, then the water will recede. So you can create resilient infrastructures and reuse it multiple times. Okay. So another thing that really struck me as something that could actually be done here in our country is how they leverage partnership. So the public safety complex is one of them. So next slide. Okay. So the public safety complex is actually a facility that holds, as you can see, all agencies relating to public safety. So it houses the Consolidated Dispatch Agency, the Leon County Emergency Medical Services, the Tallahassee Fire Department Administration, the Regional Transport Management Center, which is this photo, and the Leon County Emergency Operations Center. So basically, lahat ng mga emergency-related na mga agencies ay naka-house sa isang facility. So imagine how easy or relatively easy it is to actually talk with related agencies and plan together. So yun yung maganda. And I like the way sige, i-flash na lang yun. I like the way they created a partnership. So for example, the land was actually owned by the county. So yung county is parang yun yung much smaller version ng province natin. And so the county owns the land, and then they pooled the resources together and built this building. Yeah. So you can actually share your resources, your budget, and create a facility and actually work together there for easier management in times of emergencies. So nandun yung 911, so I was able to listen to a call, and so on and so on. So ang ganda, kasi pag may disaster, lahat doon na lang pupunta. Yan, kahit NGOs or sino pang doon na lang sila, nasa isa silang bubong, and yun, pwede silang mag-usap. Next. Yan. So I was also able, so I went to the city and county, and I was also able to visit the state of Florida Emergency Management Division. So, yan, yung ano nila, failure is not an option, which is true in disaster management. So I was lucky when I went there because they were conducting a hurricane exercise. So imagine they're used to being visited by hurricanes, but still they do exercises from time to time to ensure that they can troubleshoot any problem that would arise, and so that they can solve that even before they actually, experience one. So ang galing. Okay, so the next one is they have this neighborhood prep. Prep actually stands for it has a long acronym, but it's basically about preparing your neighborhood for disasters and other emergencies. So even if they have resilient facilities, even if they have that very good emergency management system, they still take time to go to the neighborhoods and talk to the neighborhood. That I was able to attend one activity where they were teaching them how to prepare or how to set up a toolkit and what you need in it, and the roles that you need to play when a disaster strikes. So so they don't rely on their facilities, they don't rely on their emergency management system, but they also take time to go down at the community level. So I was able to volunteer for the Red Cross. Okay, so another perks if you are joining the professional fellowship is if you are lucky, you will be able to attend, or if there's a conference conducted at the time of your fellowship. So ICMA also allows that with the support, of course, of the city of Tallahassee. So I was able to attend the conference. So it's a week-long hurricane conference. So ang dami ko rin natutunan. Okay, takeaways for the Philippine setting. Okay, so again, as I've mentioned earlier, hindi lahat ng mga nakikita natin sa first world countries or developed countries na natutunan natin doon applicable sa Pilipinas. So I keep on reiterating this whenever they ask me, so what's your takeaway with your entire experience? And I realized that in the Philippines, what we lack in resources, we make up in social capital. So we really have to work together, and at the community level, so kailangan pagtibayin talaga natin yung capacity ng mga communities natin because we can't rely on our systems, as you know, as you may have experienced. So kailangan talaga nating mag-work together na organize, create activities, be more proactive than wait for our government or NGOs to support us. Also, we need more forward-thinking planners. Totoo to. So, so there's that frustration, yung kung nasa labas ka ng ibang bansa na, ay sana meron kami ito, meron kami yan. The truth is, it can be done in the Philippines. It's just that, yun, kailangan talaga ng tapang at sikmura para makipag, kailangan mong mag-buy-in sa mga taong kailangan mong i-convince. And of course, yun, so, yeah, let's not be complacent as planners. And yeah, try to learn and make use of the resources that we have at the moment, and hopefully, yeah, slowly but surely, we can also create change in our localities. And last one, create more space for engagement. Yun talaga. So I've learned, how important partnership is, and the importance of asking help if you need one. So, ang dami nating resources, ang daming opportunities, like this fellowship. And yeah, so why don't you just try it? And I encourage you to visit the Facebook page and you'll learn more about it. And again, I am fortunate that one of the more important, one of the best people that I can learn from in terms of her knowledge in resilience is here. So resilience planning is new to us, yeah, and it's even actually new to the city of Tallahassee. So to tell you more about it is Ms. Abena Achatayo. She's the Chief Resilience Officer of Tallahassee, and she's a civil engineer by profession. Ms. Abena?
Or you lied to me. I said I didn't have to say anything. I think in the interest of time, thank you. That was really lovely. I was in the back just beaming with pride because we all really enjoyed having Joey with us, and she's saying she learned a lot on her own, but we were soaking up so much also from her and her experience here. So it is my privilege to be able to reciprocate and to come and learn in this direction. I think that you all might have more questions, and it might be more interesting if you ask questions rather than for me to share. And so I'll just say briefly, as Joey has mentioned, resilience planning is relatively new for our city. However, it is in the vein of what we've been doing for many years, but finding a way to capture that and plan around it is what is new. And so she mentioned, for example, in one of the takeaways, resilience is a form of sustainability. It's going beyond emergency response to being more proactive and dealing with mitigation and thinking many decades, even a century down in the future about what our city might look like and what we can plan today so that our children and our children's children does not have to deal with the consequences of our urban spaces, right? So that's the general theme, but it opens the door for so many connections, not just in emergency response, but how we design environmental places, right? How we build buildings, how we deal with community engagement, and even things like economic development. How are people more vulnerable because of their economic standings? And so as you think of more questions, I'll be happy to answer that for you, but you've got a good taste of some of what we're doing in Tallahassee, and that we're still learning as well too, how to make that better. So thank you.
I have a question.
Thank you, Abina and Yowie, for their presentations. Kindly take hold of your questions first. We'll have a dedicated 30-minute question and answer portion after all of the fellows have made their presentations. So we'll have a more lively discussion afterwards. So I'll call in now Jean for her presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Francis. Hi, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I think you're sleeping. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
A little bit louder. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, that's better. Okay, so hi, I'm Jean again. So we're talking here about. I'm going to be presenting on placemaking, public spaces, and citizen-led planning. So, here we. Yeah. Okay, so just a very similar outline to Yoi's presentation. I'll be talking about my hugots. In English, sorry, that is my personal issue with our cities. Wait, back to the page up, please. Okay, part 2 is my objectives in my fellowship, which is, citizen-led planning and going through the fight of public spaces and knowing the tactics and strategies of how Northampton did it properly. Part 3 is the learnings and the tirade of pictures that I'll be showing you. And part 4 is the takeaway for the Philippine setting, which is my community challenge. Next slide, please. So part 1, my biggest issue in city planning is inequality. So again, next. Okay, so inequality can be faced in 2 issues, social aspects and the environmental aspects, both of which urban planning covers. Next. And we see this in a lot of our daily lives. We have poverty, we have land dispossession, we have racism, discrimination, we have plastic all over our oceans, we have scarce land resources already in our cities, and we keep reclaiming things, we keep making more impacts through our industries and through our daily activities that are not sustainable at all. And this spreads to 2 other issues that I'm very, very concerned about. Justice in having distributed wealth for the social aspect, and previous please, and sustainability, which many of our learnings from Northampton will cover. Okay, sige, next. Okay, thanks Francis for the map. So you can see, that's Metro Manila on the left. Can you see the number of parks and green and open spaces that we have left? I see people doing like that. Yes, we do not have them anymore. And without our street networks really being for the people, that's a big problem. And we see on the right the disparity, the great divide between many of our informal communities. This is Taguig and Makati, that's the border. And we see how elitist and well-planned other cities are moving towards. And do we want to replicate this for Clark? Do we want to replicate this for so many other cities like Cebu and Davao? I don't think so. So we should be taking a closer look into the 3 issues. No? So justice, inequality, and sustainability. So next. And cities play a role in addressing these issues. They can become the problem themselves or reverse the equation. They can be the catalysts for addressing those issues. Sige, next. And yeah, that photo above from Paulo Alcazarian says, we can look at urban planning through the macro scale. We can look at it through a map. We can look at it from above like a god, just drawing things on cities. Or we can look at it at a micro level. Sige, next please. And those are through our individual choices. Like, you see that street below, that's where I live, and you see more cars parked on every sidewalk on Marikina City nowadays. And that's a big problem for me, and I think we should be addressing them. Sige, next. So I'm an advocate for making democracy work in urban planning, because if people are really the heart of cities, then people should be addressing these issues and making it work. Sige. So we should be making urban planning more citizen-led rather than just having CLUP, sustainability plans that are not funded, not implemented, and so on. Sige, next. Part 2. Okay, next. Okay, I am an avid fan of placemaking. Anyone else here? Okay, 1, 2. Please, more hands. No, okay, so I've been reading PPS.org or Design Trust New York, or do you read The Guardian, do you read Reuters, Cities? All of these show examples abroad of how activated our streets, how pedestrians are at the center, how people are at the center of our urban design in our cities. And I am so sorry, that's recorded. I'm so frustrated that we don't have that in the Philippines. And you see how placemaking is colorful, how it's inclusive, how people drive that change to shape their urban fabrics. So next, my objective in going to Northampton was to learn the strategies and the tactics, because I know where I want to go. I want to recreate our urban spaces, but I need to know the techniques of how other countries do it, because I couldn't find them here, because we just have YSEALI places on hugot pa Ragene, and we have to do that sustainably. So that was my objective in going to Northampton. Next, part 3. Sige. Okay, and this is where I was placed. No, you see, this is my first day. My host had me go through our bike trail, our protected bike trail, and I said, oh my god, these are real bikes for the disabled. These are real bikes for people with children, with people with dogs even are riding bikes there in Northampton. And like, it's so colorful. And this is not even Pride March. It's just like so colorful. See, like Pride March was like much better than this. So okay, next. And then this is a good lesson. Focus on your neighborhoods. Like Northampton tries to get all people within the reach of open spaces and parks. So, sige, next. This is what they do. So they utilize every single corner, every single park to become more colorful, to become more usable. And we can transform and love pavements to more loved spaces. Like every person has to take care of one tree, or like shower that tree with love every day. You know, activate those spaces, put more movable chairs, and it has transformed the city very well. Sige. And there's proof. You can look it up in YouTube. Diba? Nandiyan lahat ng parklets nila, lahat ng sidewalks, and you can see how citizen-driven all of these things are. Like, owners of coffee shops would say, I want better spaces beside my coffee shop, so I will create my own parklet, which we'll see in a while. Sige, next. And, oh my god, we're there. It's democratic. So, the planning decisions with the citizen suggestions are all televised and on YouTube. You see the transparency of their government, their local government, in doing citizen-led planning. And yeah, so yung second kami yan sa planning board. Just don't Google. Pero yeah. Okay, next. And yeah, that was 5. So what the government does is it tries to acquire the spaces so that they can be conserved, so that they can be used for recreation, and so on. So, sige, next. Current open spaces, and the City Planning and Sustainability Department actually allocates all of these spaces for different uses, and they track that with the next slide. Sige. See, you can see park spaces, not so much on the increases, but slightly. We see recreation going way up, conservation going way up, and agriculture doing the same. Next. What's interesting is the multi-use trail expansions because of the connectivity and mobility it contributes to our public spaces. Next. And this is how they're doing it. They're connecting all of the public spaces, creating a whole network out of these little spaces that they have. And what's beautiful about this is it's not just Northampton. It's connected with what's the city? What the bike trail is connected with Holyoke. Yeah, so mayors cycle together. Take note of that. Mayors cycle together. It's not just citizens doing it. They have their leadership supporting this. So first day we were there, we would see the mayors that, ooh, they can just talk to us so freely and talk to us about public spaces, which is so cool. Sige. Oh, sorry, it's very dark, but this is a protected bike lane. It's away from cars, it's away from the danger of speeding vehicles. And we love using this, like bike every day, and just, get from city to city without, being fearful of what we're doing. So again, this is going to be just pictures and pictures. And road narrowing, one of my favorite learnings there, because we always hear road, what? Widening, right? No? So that's a wrong thing. Like, sorry, my DPWH, not sorry, but it just doesn't work. No? So we could be using a lot of our public open spaces such as roads, streets, etc. to gain more parks, gain more pedestrian-centric spaces. And where is our planning actually going in the Philippines? Because we keep just expanding these carways. Sige, next. Wayfinding. So Joe, at the back, took us to the mountains 4 times a week. It was not my regular schedule, but yeah. So this picture that shows wayfinding, like symbols. You'll see more of that later. But the yellow things and trees on trails, these are very helpful for people who's coded. Sige, next. I think Francis will tell more about this, but sige, okay. Comfort in public spaces. So, how do you use our sidewalks, guys? If you have sidewalks in your cities, do you?
Yes.
Huh? It's useless, sidewalks. Okay, that came from the audience. I didn't talk to her before this talk, so let's validate it. In Northampton, we would just find students practicing chemistry for stretches of meters on the sidewalks. And they were safe and comfortable and enjoying themselves. And every day we would see them before graduation came. Next. People-centric urban design. This is a lovely picture, not just because of me, but because of the design of the park. This is Pulaski Park. On the left, you can see that people are designed to have more privacy. And human-centric approach, people-centric urban design shows you that you can separate that from the thinking of being very, very open, which is on the right side of this park. Sige, next. Design parklets. Have we heard of the word parklet at all? Pocket parks or parklets. This is an example of a design parklet which used to be part of the parking space beside the city hall. Sige, next. And citizen-led parklets. So we can take our issues into our own hands and make solutions about them. So movable chairs and an outdoor table that solve the problem of, we can't sit anywhere on these long streets. Next. Women's history. This is the history of women in Northampton, which is a book. Spread across the entire mural. So every time you have a parking thing or an event in this space, you learn something from the mural. So this is an example of how you activate blank walls and unused spaces. Open spaces for gardens. So usually we think of open spaces as parks, but you can have pollinator gardens, medical gardens, edible gardens, and so on. So next. They went as far as, yung mga data geeks, Francis, they went as far as, labeling all of these trees, having all of these information online for wherever you go. Like, University of Massachusetts, I think, labeled all of their trees to monitor the progress of growth and so on. So next. That was meant for that. Edible gardens. People there were very concerned about the homeless. So another social aspect is of helping through urban spaces is that they planted grapes, they planted vegetables, so that everyone to the left of this picture, it says help yourself. Although most people could just eat off these vines, all of these volunteer gardens. Sige, next. Breathing buildings, which we're very far from, but yeah, a lot of buildings there have very wide windows with glass that just lets in natural sunlight, and it's been proven that this strategy for schools increases the attention span and productivity of students by 60%, which was amazing. And this has totally no carbon, so it's great. Next. So, okay. Art and nature can be done. Holyoke, respecting nature, they built infrastructure that doesn't kill the fish. So, pwede niya i-transport through fish elevators, which is so cool, right?
Wow.
Next. And, sige, next. Say, this is true. So, it's not just a diagram. It actually works, and we visited this place. So, there are a lot of sustainability initiatives that can, don't just kill the trees, don't just kill those fish in the marine life, right? You can work with them in planning. Sige, next. Rain gardens. Sige, next. Which, okay, so it's true. Hindi siya for diagram, it's true. This is in Pulaski Park, so when it floods, it just mitigates the flooding risk and keeps the park green. Next. Boston, sige, next. This is an example of a public garden that is supported by citizen-led initiatives. Sige, next. That's how it looks like. I just want to share the tulips. Sige, next. And yeah, public spaces can be your spaces for identity. It can be used, pwedeng isipin na parang graffiti or so, but it can be used for expression, and this is an example I saw. Next. Cambridge, design can integrate your green space, your seating place, and say na, I discovered Marikina, my city, has an ordinance that says bawal ang obstructions on public spaces. So let's not make it an obstruction. You can factor in things that you want to fight for through urban design. Next. New York, so wayfinding in cities, anywhere you go, any block you see, you won't get lost. They won't feel fearful because there are maps, there are directions that will guide you to where you want to go. Next. So, hands-on efforts. So you see really communities taking care of their green spaces. Like they don't say, si government yung funded niya eh, I will take care of this tree. I will take care of this grass patch. And a lot of people are doing it. And this is New York. So these are busy people, but they find time to take care of their green spaces. Again. An example of rails to trails in the US, this is like an old railway na ginawang garden. This is part of the High Line. Next. Protected streets for the youth. No? So they say streets are for cars, but this is New York, right? In the middle of South Manhattan, and they closed it off so kids could play. No? So hindi lang for cars dapat yung priority. Sige, next. Next. Yeah, okay. So I love this part of New York as well. So ang daming sinasabi. I've been called preposterous for saying pakitang na i-one-way natin or i-pay natin design. But they just moved this part. Painted, put some greens, moved the cars here, and people have their laptops out. And that's in the middle of New York. So yeah, it can be done. Traffic can be solved by putting more people-centered designs. Next. Very simple. And movable chairs also work. So if you try to walk here, I know our fellows have walked from Intramuros to MOA. Like they've been doing it for the past days. Were you able to sit down anywhere? No. So it's a very tiring experience when movable chairs and other things, simple injections and urban elements can be put into our walkways. Next. And yeah, identity, this is in Manchester. Like it's a brick city, so this is very dominant in all of their spaces. And this is something our cities can do, hindi lang for Muhanin Mayor, sorry, hugot pa more. Sige, go. Part 4, sige. And I wanted to do something about all of these things. Like I was crying in the US, no? Sobrang demotivated ko after being inspired for a month because I had to bring all of those learnings back and apply it here in the Philippines. And it's a big realization. Urban planning, I'm saying this is SURP, we're technical people, we're licensed people, but it doesn't have to be always like that. You can be approaching things with simple solutions. And so next, I created this. So this is my impact challenge which I'm working on now. And it aims to create better urban spaces one place at a time because it's a whole big metropolitan Manila, right? So we have to start somewhere. We have to start small and then replicate. Next. Okay, so just to align this, like I have about 3 minutes left. Sige. Sustainable development cannot be achieved without significantly transforming the way we build and manage our urban spaces. This is SDG 11 from the United Nations, and we're aligning place-made to this specific goal, to directly contribute to this specific goals again. And the urban agenda pala. So what do you want to see in Metro Manila? And call me ambitious, call me a visionary, or whatever adjectives they are. But I want to see better, greener public spaces, like please. And I'm going to work my ass off to do that. Sorry, recorded, yeah. We're going to work my things off to do that. Inclusive planning, I want citizens, like every person in this room, I want you guys to do something about our cities as well. And I'm going to push for that, like, yeah, push it. Places championed and transformed by communities and livable, sustainable cities in the long run. Next. And yeah, we created this framework, simplified from what I learned from Wayne, so thank you, Wayne. Urban transformation, which is very simple. Teach, reimagine, create, and sustain your urban spaces. Next. And tap your network if you're going to work on this. I'm very thankful that my fellow batchmates and some of my regional workshop batchmates are helping me with this initiative, and they like Francis doing the maps and the wayfinding and the Photoshop text Francis, and then Yoi's doing a lot of work on the hazard aspects of the spaces because we have rivers, we're having flooding, like everything in her talk, we're trying to integrate that into placement. So again. Next. And it's not an easy process because our governments are so damn bureaucratic. Like really bureaucratic. Like it took me 2 weeks to get a meeting with the barangay. I'm sorry, I know Concepcion dos is here, hi Ma'am Bibay. But yeah, it takes time, right? And then with the city, it took me 1.5 months to get, not even a meeting with mayor, but someone to talk to in the city. 1.5 months. So, but you have to push. You have to call, you have to text, you have to keep emailing, keep at it. And then finally they responded.